It's been a rough couple of days for Israel. The world's leading credit agency, Moodys, has downgraded Israel's economic outlook from positive to stable this week. Why, you ask? Well, the agency is blaming the deterioration of Israel's governance amid months of weekly protests over the government's plans to dramatically curb the powers of the High Court of Justice. This confirms fears that Israel's credit outlook could be knocked down, as economists have been warning. But what does this downgrade truly mean for the Israeli economy? I think that's what we all want to know. And joining us now is Dr. Alex Coman. He's an economy expert from Tel Aviv University. All right, so Alex, to begin, what kind of impact does Moody's ratings have on nations around the world typically?
Okay, well, a country such as Israel has a foreign debt of 1 trillion shekels. 1 trillion means a pile of 1 million, 1 million such piles. So it's a significant debt, and we need to service this debt. Now, if our rating is high, and actually our current rating is equivalent to Japan's, it's A+, so it's a formidable rating. The probability that we would not pay back our debt is very low, just as the probability that Japan would not pay its debt. So every bank around the world is rushing to lend us money because it's very probable that we will pay them back. The lower your rating, the less attractive you are. So quite a few banks would say, thank you, I'm not interested in taking this risk. So the less supply you have, the higher interest you'd pay. And this downgrading is going to cost Israel billions of shekels every year.
Okay, so let's talk about what Moody's had to say about Israel overall here. Obviously, we spoke about the judicial reforms, the so-called deterioration of Israel's governance. What were the strong and negative points? Because not everything was negative.
No, basically Israel was doing extremely well, but this in the sense that its debt declined because of Lieberman, the previous Minister of Finance, and Lieberman was so tight-fisted and so serious that Moody's was considering upgrading Israel's rating. Israel being startup nation, when the COVID paralyzed many industrial countries, Israel basically whistled through that. So we did extremely well. However, what we've seen recently, first of all, we've seen the startup industry in the world, or the ecology, collapse. I mean, for instance, if you think about Silicon Valley Bank going bankrupt, etc. So the general environment is less attractive. And Israel in particular, because of its financial management or mismanagement, is becoming less reliable, less attractive, particularly all the voices that call for the dismissal of the head of the central bank because he's raising interest rates. So that's an example that tells Moody's that some things in Israel are not functioning the way they should.
Now, obviously, we saw Prime Minister Netanyahu and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich come out and basically play down Moody's decision, saying this isn't such a big deal because, you know, we're still having strong economic growth here. But how worried should Israelis be about this?
They should be very worried because Netanyahu is the architect. When Netanyahu was the finance minister, he made sure that Israel's rating moved up, which was a fantastic thing. And now when Israel's rating is moving down, he suddenly says Moody's does not understand English, because he personally and the President Herzog, they personally talked to Moody's. So Moody's knows very well what's going on in Israel, but it's very easy to downplay, to say they don't know how powerful Israel is. Of course they do. That's the reason they raised our rating so much. And it's embarrassing for somebody to say that when you give them good criticism, this means that you are smart. When the criticism is negative, it means that you don't understand the situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, overall, I'm just interested to hear from you what you think these latest numbers tell us about the situation in Israel, especially when it comes to the cost of living. You know, GDP has fallen, the consumer price index has risen, inflation is continuing to rise. Has the new government been doing anything to combat the issue that we're dealing with here, which is just sky-high prices?
The government, all the government has been doing in these few months, is take care of its own political interests. It has not done, and also take care of Netanyahu's well-being. maintenance of the houses he's living in. It's incredible in terms of the egoism of the laws that have been passed. You did actually one law that was passed, and actually it made things worse. We had taxes on sweet drinks, which is very important because it made money, and also it made sure that fewer kids would get diabetes due to drinking sweet drinks. And for some incredible reason, this was stopped. The same thing about electronic cigarettes.
Right.
There was improvement. So what the government has been doing is really mind-boggling. I do not understand. I do understand its rationale